Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour à toutes, bonjour à tous. Quel régal, quel plaisir de vous saluer, de vous retrouver ici au Palais des Congrès de la Porte-Maillot de Paris. À quelques instants donc de la présentation officielle des parcours du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift 2026 et du Tour de France 2026. Merci d'être avec nous ce matin. Ladies and gentlemen, what a delight it is to welcome you back to the Palais des Congrès right here in the French capital, Paris, ahead of the official presentation for the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift 2026 and the Tour de France 2026. Thank you so much for choosing this location to spend your morning. Et on aimerait vous inviter tout au long de cette présentation à faire un maximum de photos. N'hésitez pas à inonder les réseaux sociaux. Hashtag TDF 2026, hashtag TDFF 2026. Dites-nous ce que vous pensez des étapes, dites-nous ce que vous pensez du parcours. N'hésitez pas à exprimer vos différentes opinions. Once again, you can take as many pictures as you'd like. Inundate social media with the hashtags TDF 2026, hashtag TDFF 2026, and tell us what you think about the different parcours, the stages, what's going to happen. Tell us what you think about what you're about to discover. We'd also like to extend a special welcome to all those watching on the international stream. So from wherever you're watching around the world, welcome to Paris. Et un accueil très spécial à toutes celles et tous ceux qui nous suivent sur le stream officiel. Qui que vous soyez, d'où que vous nous regardiez, soyez les bienvenus ici du côté du Palais des Congrès. Place donc à ce moment si important, si intense. On va pouvoir ensemble accueillir donc les superstars du peloton international. Et on commence évidemment par les femmes. Je vous demande d'accueillir, mesdames et messieurs, les coureuses du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
So on come the riders from the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift who are present. Of course, the lottery of riders we get each year depends on everyone's schedules and training camps.
Qui nous retrouve le plaisir de saluer l'ancienne championne de France Espoir, c'est Gladys Verhulst-Wild. À ses côtés, cap sur la première des deux Polonaises qu'on va saluer aujourd'hui.
Wild is the first rider introduced.
Quatrième au classement général, Dzień dobry, Dominika Włodarczyk. Direction la France désormais pour
Dominika Włodarczyk, fourth last year in the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift there as well in the GC. Marion Bunel next.
Côté, on va saluer la native de Heidelberg qui a fait les 4 éditions du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Elle a remporté la Navarra Classic aus Deutschland, Hanna Ludwig.
Hanna Ludwig, who's ridden each and every one of the 4 editions of the race so far.
Elle n'a que 20 ans et elle a disputé son premier Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift l'été dernier. 3e au récent championnat d'Europe du contre-la-montre individuel dans les rangs espoirs. L'accueil du public pour Julie Bégaud.
Julie Bégaud as well, straight from that brilliant result, the juniors and the Euros.
Cette fois-ci pour saluer une coureuse qui a participé à 2 reprises au Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. Elle a remporté la Ruta del Sol, elle a été 4 fois championne nationale du chrono. C'est Catherine Olrud.
Catherine Olrud from Norway, 4-time national time trial champion.
Lorsqu'elle avait remporté il y a quelques mois le titre de championne de France 2025, maillot distinctif qu'elle a porté sur les routes du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, c'est Marie Lenette.
Marie Lenette is next. And that concludes, almost concludes. We've got one more. Boxer-style introduction from Marc Chavet.
Elle a gagné la Flèche Wallonne. Elle a été double championne nationale sur route et lauréate du classement général.
It's the former Tour de France winner.
Katarzyna Niewiadoma.
And it's Kasia Niewiadoma.
Et on termine, mesdames et messieurs, avec une coureuse de 23 ans, native de Brest, qui a vécu un véritable rêve à l'occasion du grand départ du Tour de France.
And to finish off from Brittany, 23 years of age.
Elle est passée du rêve à la réalité en remportant non pas une, mais 2 étapes.
What a tour it was for her last year.
Skibon.
Maëva Skibon.
Les coureuses qui nous font l'amitié et l'honneur de leur présence ce matin ici au Palais des Congrès. Les filles, on va vous inviter à bien vouloir prendre place. It's time to go set up indeed to enjoy the official presentation. Thank you so much. Je vais garder avec moi.
And it sounds as though it's time for riders to take their seats.
Une petite réaction parce que Maëva, ça a été, je t'invite ici.
Maybe a quick word with
un Tour de France femme avec Zwift de toute splendeur.
Maëva Skibon first.
Ce grand départ qui était chez toi, qui t'a comblé d'émotions.
Of course, it was a start in Brittany, in her home region.
Par rapport à ce qui t'attendait sur les routes du Tour.
C'est sûr, le grand départ en Bretagne, c'était quelque chose d'extraordinaire, mais finalement, tout le Tour de France, c'était vraiment
Bretagne in Brittany, it was extraordinary.
Je pense que c'est vraiment, c'était vraiment 9 étapes de pur bonheur et c'est que sur le
Tour de France qu'on peut 9 stages of pure happiness for me.
Des émotions et tu es devenue la deuxième coureuse française à remporter une étape après Cédrine Kerbaol à Morteau en 2024.
Second French rider to have won a stage of this new race.
Quand tu avais vu sur la ligne, c'était tout feu, tout flamme, en veux-tu, en voilà.
It looked euphoric when you crossed the line.
24 heures plus tard, c'était incroyable.
And then 24 hours later, it all happened again.
Mais comme quoi le vélo, c'est pas
juste. But it wasn't exactly the plan to do that.
C'est un peu d'instinct aussi, donc.
But it was just a spur of the moment thing.
Et puis voilà, c'était
it worked.
Que du pur bonheur et à refaire.
And again, it was just pure happiness for me.
Elle n'a que 23 ans, mesdames et messieurs, elle est devant vous. C'est Maëva Skibon.
And she's going to have more chances to do it just 23 years of age. It's Maëva Skibon.
Allez, on va pouvoir poursuivre dans quelques instants, comme il est de coutume, cette fois-ci avec.
And whilst we're on the subject of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, let's go to one of the people who've been right behind it. Here's Kate Veronneau from Zwift.
Has accomplished so far?
It's been bigger than our wildest dreams, quite honestly. You know, when we set out on this, it felt like the right thing to do, but now, 4 years in, when you have indisputable proof that this has inspired so many new fans, new investment, new coverage, and like new participation around the world. It's been such a beautiful thing, and we're delighted to be a part of it and excited to have some big news today.
What does it mean for you to have sealed a 4-year extension partnership?
It means it's working, honestly, that it's been one of the smartest investments we've ever made, that we are thrilled with the opportunity that it's created for the world to see the magic of women's cycling and to get to know these characters and this drama and this incredible sport. And it's important for us as a company to make more space in this sport. There's plenty of it. And this race has done that. The visibility of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift has changed the game. And we're so honored and proud to be a part of the future of it.
Thank you.
And whilst you're listening there to Kate Veronneau, we've seen Dylan Groenewegen, Matteo Trentin, Anthony Turgis, amongst others, being introduced.
Troisième de l'étape de Vire-Normandie, c'était l'été dernier. 2 étapes déjà gagnées sur les routes de la Vuelta. Il a terminé 3e du Tour de Lombardie. On salue Michael Storer.
This is Michael Storer. First Australian on the podium in Lombardy the other week.
Casqués, on ne les voit pas. On ne les a pas vus lorsqu'il était sur l'étape de Toulouse. 154 km d'échappée pour remporter l'étape des étapes.
This is a man we don't see too often without the helmet and the gear on, but we certainly saw him at the end of the day in Toulouse. It's Jonas Abrahamsen.
Un peu plus loin, un Italien qui nous a encore fait
Tour de
rêver il y a
France
quelques
stage
jours
winner.
sur les routes de Paris-Tour, la classique des feuilles mortes qu'il a remporté pour la 3e fois de sa carrière. Il a gagné des étapes sur les 3 grands tours. Il a été champion d'Europe et vice-champion du monde. C'est Matteo Trentin.
Matteo Trentin.
Et aux côtés de Matteo, c'est avec
he's
une émotion certaine ou une certaine émotion qu'on va accueillir le prochain coureur, lui qui a terminé 2e de Binche par le passé, qui tire sa révérence et qui est désormais jeune retraité, ancien vainqueur d'étape sur les 4 jours de Dunkerque. Il a gagné le Trobron-Léon, le Bison d'Arras pour la toute dernière fois, mesdames et messieurs. C'est Adrien.
And for the final time as a rider before he takes his retirement in a few weeks' time. It's Adrien Petit.
La réalité, il est passé l'été dernier sur les routes du Tour de France. Le natif d'Annemasse qui avait déjà brillé à Bocca della Selva sur les routes du Giro d'Italia. Mais l'été dernier, il a crevé l'écran. Il est entré dans la légende en domptant tout simplement le Mont Chauve, le géant de Provence. Il a remporté l'étape du
And having conquered the Bald Mountain, it's been a big year for this young man. A year after he did it at the Giro, Valentin Paré-Peintre.
Merci beaucoup, messieurs. Thank you so much, guys. On va vous inviter à prendre
the male
place.
riders who are in town for the presentation then.
De garder sur scène Valentin, bien évidemment, qui va nous dire un petit mot, Valentin, parce que.
And we're just going to stay with Valentin for a moment for a quick word.
On s'offre une étape comme l'étape du Mont Ventoux sur les routes du Tour. Ça change
What's it
la
like
vie,
winning a stage
Ouais,
like the one you won on Mont
ça
Ventoux.
change la vie, je m'en rends compte
Well, it
tous
changes
les
your
jours
life.
et encore maintenant, ça fait un petit moment déjà que c'est
Every
arrivé,
single day, I'm reminded of
il y a
it,
toujours
and especially now being here.
qui me rappellent que j'ai gagné et qui me changent la vie un peu tous les jours.
There's always things around me that remind me that I won
le
there.
type d'accomplissement, on se dit, je n'ai qu'une envie, c'est de recommencer, retrouver un petit peu ces sensations. L'envie donne envie finalement.
Ouais, c'est sûr, quand on a gagné une fois, on a encore envie de gagner. Après, c'est
And of course, yeah, it doesn't stop there. Once you've won once, you want to win
de faire
again.
mieux qu'au Mont Ventoux, mais je vais
It's going to
essayer.
be difficult to maybe better what I did on Ventoux, but we'll have a good go and here to look and enjoy this route presentation.
Les coureuses, on a découvert les coureurs. Il est temps désormais de découvrir les parcours du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift 2026. Du
So
Tour
it's
de
time to
France
have a look at the two
2026.
routes
Les deux
after
épreuves
having seen the
sont les
riders
plus grandes
here.
compétitions de cyclisme au monde. Merci d'être avec nous ce matin.
I really hope I can cross the line first at least one time.
Oh, he's done it! I've done it brilliantly!
C'est fou.
I guess we'll see him back next year to take his revenge.
Really, really beautiful day, I have to say.
Mesdames et messieurs,
that was there to whet the
veuillez
appetite.
accueillir le président d'Amaury Sport Organisation, Jean-Étienne Amaury. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the president of Amaury Sport Organization, Jean-Étienne Amaury.
Bonjour à tous, bienvenue.
Hello, all of you.
Madame la ministre,
And welcome to the
mesdames et messieurs
presentation of the Tour de
élus
France
parlementaires et représentants des collectivités.
and the Tour de France Femmes
Monsieur le
avec Zwift.
président de l'Union cycliste internationale, monsieur le président de la Fédération française de cyclisme, mesdames et messieurs,
Welcome to
chers
the
amis
presidents
du
of
Tour,
the World and
bonjour à
French
tous,
Cycling
bienvenue à la
Federation
présentation du Tour de France et du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
and to the politicians here as well.
Il y a tout juste un siècle, en 1925, Henri
Just a century ago, in 1925, Henri Desgrange, the creator of the Tour de France, introduced the principle of teams
dont les hommes pourront s'entraider de façon à se
and declared
présenter en
that
plus
each
grand
team's an
nombre
entity
possible à l'arrivée
where members can
pour
help
faire
each other
partie de la marque
so that
qu'ils
as
représentent.
many as possible reach the finishing
Sport
line
individuel couru en
or help
équipe,
the
le
brand
cyclisme
they
fait appel à la
represent
force
to
du
win.
collectif pour aller plus loin.
Cycling is an individual
Le
sport carried out in
Tour de
teams
France
and one that draws
est
on
une épreuve
collective
collective.
strength to go further and to
Seul
go
le
faster.
prodigieux Pogacar semble déroger à cette règle.
The Tour de France is a
Multiple
collective
solitaire
event.
cette saison
Only
pour mieux
Pogacar's
affirmer sa totale
prodigiousness
domination
seemed to
sur
be
son
an
sport.
exception to this
Bravo
rule,
Tadej pour
as he led a rising number of
Et
solo
félicitations
breakaways
à
this
l'ensemble des
season,
coureurs qui ont
dominating
animé le
this
Tour
sport.
et rendu cette dernière
Well done,
édition
Tadej, for such
palpitante.
brilliance.
Je pense notamment à Ben Eli, désigné super
Congratulations
combatif
as
du
well
Tour.
to the riders who brought the Tour to life. I'm thinking of Ben Healy, who was named the Tour's most combative rider. Florian Lipovic, the revelation of last year's edition, who was third.
Valentin Paré-Peintre,
Valentin Paré-Peintre, who achieved the feat of a stage win of the legendary Mont Ventoux.
Wout van Aert, vainqueur plein de
Wout van
panache
Aert,
lors de l'étape des
who
Champs-Élysées.
tasted final day
Enfin, bien sûr,
triumph with
Jonas
plenty of
Vingegaard,
panache
deuxième
on the
du Tour,
Champs-Élysées.
qui a tout tenté
And of course,
pour
second in the
bousculer
Tour,
le leader.
Jonas Vingegaard, who tried everything
J'en
to knock
profite
the
pour
race leader off his
féliciter
perch.
également Pauline
I'd also
Ferrand-Prévot,
like to
vainqueur
take
du
this
Tour de France
opportunity
Femmes,
to congratulate
dès
Pauline
sa première
Ferrand-Prévot,
participation.
who won the Tour de
Toutes les
France
grandes
Femmes on her
champions
way
du peloton.
on her very first participation, as well as the other elite riders who went all the way to the last day.
toutes les grandes championnes du peloton qui ont bataillé jusqu'au dernier jour d'une course intense. Les audiences records de France Télévisions.
The record audiences registered by France Télévisions are proof of the growing success enjoyed by the Tour de France Femmes. As I said, the Tour de France is a collective event. Its organisation requires the involvement of many people, each of whom are essential to ensure the completion of this 3-week adventure, which is now 4 weeks long thanks to the rise of the Tour de France Femmes. It adds up to several thousand kilometres of a journey every summer. The police, the gendarmes, the local, regional authorities, logistics specialists, journalists, media organisations, sponsors and publicity caravan partners, among many others. Thanks to all of those skilled and talented people who strive to ensure that the Tour is always a success.
Le Tour de France est une épreuve collective.
The Tour is an event that draws a wide audience, both in France and abroad. It's commonly said that the Tour is the 3rd biggest sports event in the world and the biggest annual sports event. It brings together 10 million spectators along the route, 150 million viewers to watch it on TV, and it gives rise to 3 billion videos seen on social networks throughout the world. From the joy of the Grand Départ in Lille to the jubilation during the finale on the Butte de Montmartre, the Tour brings together all generations to move, fascinate and unite them.
The
Tour must also think collectively, and that's why we've been striving for several years to encourage young children to cycle through our Cycling to the Future initiative. L'avenir à vélo in French. As you know, the Tour de France has helped more than 500,000 children to learn to cycle. Today, the Cycling City or Cycling Town labels, which wants to really promote cycling as a means of transport, involves 190 towns and cities. And lastly, within the scope of the programme, A Bicycle for All, this year, almost 12,000 bikes have been donated to associations in France and in Africa. And speaking of Africa, I'd like to warmly congratulate the International Federation of Cycling and its president, David Lapartien, for the extremely successful Cycling World Championships held for the first time in their history in Africa, in Rwanda, which ASO was proud to be involved in. Before handing over to Marion Rousse and Christian Prudhomme, we're going to present the routes for our 2 tours in 2026. And I'd like you to relive the images of the best moments of the Tour de France Femmes avec Swift.
Est-ce que tu nous fais vivre, toi?
C'est une sale môme.
Attention.
It's a dream to race the Tour de France.
Every year it's getting harder because of the level that women represent.
C'est parti, 1168 km d'ouest en est, direction Châtel, en Haute-Savoie. Yann Lipper qui a chuté, c'est l'une des grandes favorites. Marlène Ressort est là, derrière.
Pauline from Provo now going for the yellow jersey.
Dès la première étape, elle est impressionnée.
Marianne Vos is on her wheel.
Victoire de Marianne Vos, la 258e de sa carrière.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
It's the Tour de France. It's the first day. You can't really describe what it means.
Big attack now.
Mavi Garcia qui attaque le mur final.
Mavi Garcia checks over her shoulder. It's a win for Mavi Garcia. What a day for Kim Lecourt. After winning Liège-Bastogne-Liège, she is now in the yellow jersey.
3e étape. On change de paysage, on change de région. Ah, il y avait une chute. Alors là, c'est une énorme chute là qui vient de se produire, malheureusement.
Oh, Demi Vollering is down.
C'est peut-être un tournant de ce Tour de France.
300 meters now. Here goes Lorena Wiebes. She kicks hard. The furious sprint of the European champion.
Victoire de Lorena Wiebes à Angers, devant Marianne Vos qui reprend le maillot jaune de leader.
We showed it again that we are a good tandem, so I'm really excited to make it again.
Ça roule, ça a mis en route et c'est toujours aussi nerveux.
Et ça fait terminé, end of the breakaway. Wiebes now goes straight for the finish line. Marianne Vos challenges, but it's 2 days, 2 wins for the green jersey.
It's so nice to also finish it off for the girls who worked again really hard today. And yeah, I'm just really happy with this win.
Et là, il y a un quatuor de Rennes qui s'est isolé.
The yellow jersey as things stand at the end of this stage.
C'est fini pour Marianne Vos qui va perdre le maillot jaune.
It's gonna be a stage win for the Mauritian champion.
Victoire de Kim Lecourt et qui s'empare du maillot jaune.
Today is like the first selective stage with lots of climbing. I was definitely curious to see how everything will pan out.
Squiven goes on the attack.
Elle est vraiment très forte.
Maëva Skibon qui fait une démonstration.
That's the way to win a bike race.
Victoire de Maëva Skibon, la première victoire française sur ce tour.
Big attack. Maëva Squivan just crushes the breakaway.
Elle est monumentale aujourd'hui.
Maëva wins! We win! It's 2 days out of 2. Stage 7. Maëva Squivan. Stage 8 is underway, and now we'll start to see how this race will unfold.
Chute de Kim Lecourt.
Look at Ferran Prévot. It's time to get the yellow jersey.
On est en train de vivre un truc de dingue. C'est parti à 5 km de l'arrivée. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot est en feu.
Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, the queen of French cycling. French fireworks on the Madeleine. We crown the stage winner and the yellow jersey.
Si je suis revenue sur la route, c'est pour participer au Tour de France. C'était pour essayer de le gagner un jour et cette victoire, c'est le signe que j'ai fait le bon choix.
Anna van der Breggen now goes on the attack.
Est-ce que Pauline Ferrand-Prévot va suivre?
It's game over for the former world champion.
Et l'attaque de Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, la championne est là.
She wraps up the tempo.
Cette fille est incroyable. Moment historique. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot remporte le Tour de France, l'un des plus grands exploits du sport français.
Sensational.
Je rêvais de gagner en jaune, je pensais pas du tout pouvoir gagner de cette manière, mais je me suis vraiment donné à fond pour les derniers mètres de ce Tour de France.
Ça a payé, chérie, ça a payé.
J'ai mis la barre vraiment haute cette année, ça a été beaucoup de sacrifices. C'est une belle victoire et c'est une belle leçon de vie aussi.
Qu'est-ce que tu nous fais vivre, toi?
C'est une sale môme.
was special. What memories. And we're about to see what next year's race, at least in terms of the route, has in store.
Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez accueillir la directrice du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, Marion Rousse, et le directeur du Tour de France, Christian Prudhomme. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the director of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, Marion Rousse, and the director of the Tour de France, Christian Prudhomme.
Bonjour à tous, bonjour à toutes.
Hello everybody.
Bonjour Marion, bonjour à tous.
Hello dear Christian. Hi Marion. We already said last year, but the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift was fantastic again this year.
Je te dire la même chose Marion, qu'est-ce que c'était bien le Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift l'été dernier.
J'en ai encore quelques frissons après avoir revu
le
film de la
the finale as uncertain as the one on Alpe d'Huez in 2024. We wondered whether it would be possible to do just the same this time.
Lorsqu'on se souvient du dénouement de l'année dernière, souvenez-vous, les 4 petites secondes entre Kasian Eyadoma et Demi Vollering, qui plus est au sommet de l'Alpe d'Huez, on se posait quelques questions avec Christian, à savoir si un jour on allait revivre autant d'émotions dans cette épreuve.
We wondered whether we'd be able to relive
j'ai bien
that close race
que
again.
dès cette 4e édition du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, notamment grâce à ce que les filles, les championnes nous ont proposé et nous ont montré sur les routes, eh bien elles ont réussi à mettre la barre encore plus haute. Il faut dire que le grand départ était magnifique en
really
Bretagne,
work hard since then, and the riders have raised the bar so much.
Moi, j'ai en souvenir et en tête cette première étape qui est arrivée au sommet de Cadoudal, où on passait à plusieurs reprises.
I really remember that first
jamais vu
summit
autant
finish
de
at
monde
Cadoudal.
sur le bord des routes pour venir encourager les championnes.
And I'd never really seen so many people on the side of the road. It was incredible.
Évidemment, on a été également très gâtés avec une certaine Pauline Ferrand-Prévôt qui avait déjà montré à l'ensemble du peloton qu'elle était en canne, qu'elle était en jambes, en attaquant à Cadoudal et en étant reprise seulement dans les derniers hectomètres de la ligne. Seulement devancée bien par sa coéquipière Marianne Vos, la plus grande championne de tous les temps. Bref,
Marianne Vos going ahead, best, greatest champion in the world, and managing to win there in Brittany, that was so special.
Ces championnes. On se souvient de la victoire d'étape de Cédrine Kerbaol l'année dernière sur les routes de Morteau.
Cédrine Kerbaol's stage win as well.
Brestoise qui a été impressionnante en ne remportant pas une, mais 2 étapes. Excusez du peu et avec un sacré panache.
Not winning just one, but also 2
On a
stages.
également passé un cap en termes d'internationalisation, puisque pour la première fois de sa jeune histoire, le Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift a vu une concurrente issue du continent africain s'imposer et porter pendant plusieurs jours le maillot jaune avec Kim Lecourt, la Mauricienne.
A wonderful victory for a rider from Africa for the first time in the history of this young race. That was Kim Lecourt. She wore the yellow jersey as well.
Où une championne qui avait déjà pratiquement tout gagné s'était lancé un défi un peu fou, celui de remporter le Tour de France.
And of course we saw in the Alps that we had this champion who more or less won everything.
A commencer par le samedi sur les
lay a new challenge in front of herself and managed to do it in front of us. Win the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
Sur l'arrivée finale à Châtel, cette fois-ci avec le maillot jaune sur les épaules, excusez du peu.
And of course, having done what she'd done, got the yellow jersey,
de 8 millions,
she then put on a show on that final stage.
Téléspectateurs sur France Télévisions, un pic d'audience
8 million people watching on France Télévisions. It was absolutely incredible for this race and this sport.
Après tant d'années d'attente, le Tour a été remporté par un Français, ou plutôt par une Française, Pauline Ferrand-Prévôt.
And after so many years of waiting, a French person was able to win the Tour. So yeah, every little bit of your applause is merited.
Pauline s'impose donc dans 2 autres immenses championnes que sont Demi Vollering et Kasian Eyadoma.
Pauline who beat 2 other immense champions.
Au protocole de l'arrivée finale,
first of all, of course, Demi Vollering.
était déjà tourné vers l'avenir et un petit peu revancharde sur les bords. Nul doute que nous les retrouverons toutes les 3 à l'attaque dès la prochaine édition.
Next year again.
Je ne vais pas faire très long et surtout j'aimerais terminer sur quelque chose qui est le plus important et qui compte le plus pour moi et qui m'a rendu la plus fière. C'est que pendant ces 9 jours de course, 9 jours parce que la course on a eu de cesse de voir à quel point la course avait passé des caps, mais surtout à quel point nous étions rentrés pleinement dans le cœur des gens. Plus de doute,
and I think we managed to see during those 9 days
merci à tous et vive le
just
Tour.
how much we managed to get into the hearts and minds of people, and that is what I really take away. Thank you very much.
Et voici déjà un avant-goût de ce qui nous attend.
And there we go, a little preview already awaiting us 2026. That's the official poster of the 5th edition of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, created by Amélie Touché on the screen there, a French illustrator now based in Lausanne, after having spent several years in Montreal. There's a little symbol for each of the 3 cities involved in the Grand Départ in Switzerland. But that's all I'm saying, because if you look carefully, you'll find clear clues on the route, which we'll be revealing in a moment. A very good piece of news we want to share with you straight up is the renewal of our partnership agreement with Zwift. And it's until 2029. Our shared ambition was to make the Tour the leading event on the women's calendar, just like its counterpart in the men's cycling schedule. It's happened even faster and with a greater impact than in our wildest dreams. Yet the adventure's only just beginning for the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
What a ride. Sensational. It's a win. A stage win. Magnificent. Stage winner in the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
Four more years indeed.
Le Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift prendra donc la direction
Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift will be heading to Switzerland next year for the Grand Départ. The second outside France, following Rotterdam in the Netherlands in 2024. 3 cities will come together for the start: Lausanne, Aigle and Geneva, to make it a dream of a Grand Départ.
The start of the 2025 Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, 9 days of racing. Marianne Vos takes the first place. Vos takes yellow. What a finish to stage 1.
Quand je roule seule, je pense à beaucoup de choses en même temps. Au final, on pense un peu à tout ce qu'on a fait pendant la journée. On arrive aussi à arrêter de penser à l'école, à tout l'extérieur qui est moins cool. Je m'appelle Valentine Rousseau, j'ai 16 ans. J'ai commencé le vélo vers mes 4 ans avec toute ma famille. C'était vraiment des petits tours, j'allais juste dehors, c'était vraiment cool. Actuellement, je suis cycliste U17 et l'année prochaine, je passe en junior. Donc c'est une année plus dure et plus intéressante. Mais c'est ce qui nous amène au final vers des grandes catégories et des grandes courses. Dans quelques années, mon but, ce serait d'être dans une équipe, avoir un assez bon rôle dans cette équipe. J'aimerais beaucoup partir dans plein de pays, faire beaucoup de courses, en gagner si possible. Pour moi, regarder le Tour de France des femmes, c'est vraiment comme regarder celui des hommes. Ça me stresse tout le long de savoir qui va gagner, qui va être la plus forte. Souvent, je regarde chez mes grands-parents. Ça commence souvent pendant le repas du midi. Alors, on quitte vite, on va dans le canapé et je leur explique souvent parce qu'ils savent pas tout. Ouais, on adore passer ce moment-là ensemble. En 2026, le grand départ du Tour de France des femmes, il va commencer en Suisse. Et pour moi, c'est vraiment une fierté du fait que je suis suisse et que j'ai roulé ces routes déjà plusieurs fois. J'ai fait des temps plus ou moins bien et que peut-être qu'un jour, j'aimerais essayer d'aller faire le meilleur temps sur cette route ou même sur le parcours en entier. Je suis vraiment super fière si je me dis qu'un jour, c'est plus moi qui regarde la télé, mais que c'est mes grands-parents qui me regardent à la télé. Ils attendent pas des résultats, mais ils sont là pour me soutenir et j'ai vraiment envie de faire ça en fait.
Allez, dernier souvenir en date avec la Suisse 2022, la victoire d'un certain Wout van Aert du côté de Lausanne. Nos amis les élus, des personnalités ici au pupitre au Palais des Congrès. Avec Émilie Meuchler, conseillère municipale et vice-maire de Lausanne. Alors, Madame la conseillère, justement, il est évident que Lausanne, capitale olympique, a un rapport privilégié avec le sport. Qu'en est-il par rapport au Tour de France, qui a déjà fait étape à 6 reprises par le passé?
Tour de France has been there before. C'est vrai qu'on dit souvent qu'à Lausanne, le sport est bien plus qu'une activité. C'est même
of course, here in Lausanne, sport's more than just an activity.
Lausanne possède une longue tradition d'organisation de manifestations
a really long tradition of organizing events.
Et le vélo y tient une place particulière.
And cycling has a big place in all of that.
Courses très appréciées des cyclistes et du public.
Really important races have been held there, Tour de Romandie as well, the Tour de France.
À 12%, eh ben c'est un vrai défi.
We've got certain very steep streets, we know that already. 12% gradients.
Et les punchers.
And we've got plenty of routes for the
C'était une
punchers.
Incroyable. On l'a vu lors du dernier passage en 2022. Il y avait la moitié.
We saw when the Tour de France came in 2022, the whole population was on the street.
Cela a laissé des souvenirs absolument fantastiques. Pour ce 7e passage du Tour, nous voulions avoir le Tour de France Femmes parce que cela offre une compétition d'envergure pour les femmes, une visibilité qui inspire les femmes et les jeunes filles, une visibilité qui inspire aussi les médias et les sponsors. À Lausanne, ça sera le 1er août, fête nationale, tout un symbole. À Lausanne, nous menons une politique
It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be the first time that we'll have held the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, and it's going to be a national party.
Beaucoup de temps. Nous sommes très fiers d'accueillir le Tour de France Femmes.
We are very, very proud to welcome the Tour de France Femmes.
Le départ du premier Tour de Romandie féminin. Et à chaque fois,
last time out, we had the grand départ of the very first Tour de Romandie féminin.
Impliquées que je salue puisqu'elles nous regardent en direct à Lausanne en ce moment même. Merci aux villes d'Aigle et de Genève.
I want to thank you all for watching on in Switzerland, all of my colleagues back in Lausanne, and thanking the town of Aigle as well, home to the Olympic and, of course, the International Cycling Union. Thanking Prud'homme, Rousse and everybody else as well involved in ASO. This is Grégory Deveau, and he's an MP in the Swiss Grand Council.
Quel est le rapport que vous entretenez avec le vélo depuis l'installation du siège de l'Union cycliste internationale?
Oui, alors effectivement, depuis que le président ici s'est installé en 2002, le vélo fait partie de notre ADN. C'est une véritable histoire d'amour qui s'est écrite entre notre ville et le vélo. C'est plus seulement un sport, c'est une culture, un état d'esprit, une manière de vivre et de développer la ville. Chaque jour, nos enfants croisent des champions venus du monde entier sur nos routes et chemins qui
People come from all over the world. People ride on our roads from all over. And people become volunteers, become passionate about cycling who previously weren't. Of course, it helped our companies, our clubs, and the World Cycling Centre is a big plus for us.
Alors, grâce à l'UCI, vous l'avez dit, Aigle est effectivement devenu, selon un titre qui nous a été attribué, la capitale mondiale du cyclisme.
And thanks to the UCI, it's just a title that's been given, but Aigle is now the capital of world cycling again. We've got a Cycling Strategy 2035 that motivates us to invest more in this sport and everything around it. Of course, it's great to have the Tour de Romandie. And now, of course, the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
C'est une magnifique reconnaissance pour nous.
It's a wonderful recognition of all we try to achieve.
Un symbole de performance et de rayonnement, mais surtout un moteur de fierté, de mobilité, de lien humain.
It's a motor that will drive pride and mobility in the town and the region,
un petit clin d'œil à Aline,
as well as being an elite sport event.
Et vive le Tour.
And vive Aigle. Vive Sport, and long live to
Marie Barbet-Chapuis, conseillère administrative de la ville de Genève. Le plaisir de vous retrouver tout d'abord.
And now this is Marie Barbet-Chapuis, who comes from Geneva. She's part of the local council there.
Qui est devenue tout simplement la première ville étrangère du Tour de France. hormis Nancy et Metz, mais ça c'est un débat pour un autre moment. Et ensuite est devenue la ville suisse qui a reçu le Tour de France. Eh bien, qui représente donc ce lien particulier avec...
Going back to what was the first ever foreign town in the Tour de France, of course, saving Metz and Nancy, which is another story to talk about in history.
Le Tour se déplace à proximité de Genève, que ce soit en
It's wonderful every time the Tour comes close to Genève.
En nombre sur les routes.
We see so many people from the city going to see it.
France féminin aujourd'hui au cœur même de la ville de Genève.
And it's wonderful to have the women's tour.
La dernière fois, c'était le Tour de
France.
It's
a real big slice of happiness for us to have it.
En 1990, donc on est vraiment ravis d'accueillir aujourd'hui ce Tour de France féminin.
It's been a long time since we did have the tour, so it's nice to have the women's tour and having the race back.
L'emblème de Genève, le fameux.
And it was brilliant alongside the lake and on the quays.
Rappelé tout à l'heure, eh bien le Tour de France féminin, il a vraiment une magnifique visibilité aux femmes.
It's got wonderful visibility as this race now.
La ville de Genève est très engagée dans la promotion du sport féminin. Pour vous donner un exemple,
and of course it's wonderful for us to use that visibility to show that Geneva is a city that is really involved in promoting women's sport. We've seen that with football. And I'm convinced that it's going to be an immense success having the race in town. And we'd love everybody to come and visit the city. Those who are here to, of course, cheer on the race and its athletes.
D'évocation auprès des plus jeunes. Je crois que les jeunes femmes, les petites filles ont besoin de modèles, de championnes.
We know that young women, young girls have a need for real superb role models, and we think that this race is going to bring that. And I'm really proud to be the organizer.
Merci beaucoup à vous trois pour ces interventions. Notre triangle
Thank you for all of your views on what's going to happen in Switzerland.
Deuxième grand départ de l'étranger dans l'histoire du Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
And it's the second grand départ in the history of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. So that was Marc Chavet with the politicians. I think we're going to welcome back now Marion and Christian. And we're building up to the moment of the big reveal.
Eh bien, c'est l'heure de découvrir le parcours
de
France Femmes avec Zwift.
It's time to find out the route of the 2026 Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. So then here we go. It will start in Switzerland. The three towns we saw there. And by Lac Le Mans, Lake Geneva is where things begin. In Lausanne itself, the Olympic city. So we've got a road stage to start, from one lake to another. Inland, to the Canton of Vaud, and back to Lausanne, a loop stage to begin. Stage 2 begins in Aigle, along the lake, back towards Lausanne, and finishing in Geneva. Following that, after France and Poligny, Gevrey-Chambertin, and finishing in Dijon. A 9-stage race this nowadays. Mâcon will host the next start as the race quickly moves around into the Beaujolais. Beginning in Montbrisson and heading towards the Rhône in Tournon. We've seen that on the Tour de France before. Then you can see the mountains approaching, and one big famous one, it's the Bald Mountain, it's Mont Ventoux. Then the Sisteron, site of many a Paris-Nice stage down the years before heading into the Alps. Around them, along the great Napoleon route to Nice. And talking of all things Nice and Paris-Nice, it's inspired this route. 4 times up the mighty Col d'Èze in a 99-kilometer final stage and a race finish on the Promenade des Anglais. 9 stages, the 5th edition of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift.
On va se projeter avec toi, Marion, au début du mois d'août. Alors, Rémi Mechler le disait il y a un instant.
So let's look ahead, Marion, to next August, the first day of the month, a Saturday, which is also the national holiday in Switzerland. We'll be in Lausanne. Happiness, no doubt, will be the watchword on the lakeside, surrounded by mountains. Lausanne teeming with slopes, however. And of course, the yellow jersey, they need a bit of punch, don't they? Well, for the first stage, the riders will tackle a big loop around Lausanne. The race will head north towards Lake Neuchâtel, then pass alongside it for almost 20 kilometres. There'll be 3 climbs on the programme. 2 of them will come one after the other. 50 kilometres from the finish, namely the Côte de Villars-le-Comte and the Côte de Vuillin. After that, they'll pass by Lake Geneva for 15 kilometres. They'll ride past the Olympic Museum before the final climb leading to the finish, 2.5k long, including a kilometre at 8% before 400 metres of flat to the finish line. Well, the first stage will pass through the terrace vineyards of the Lavaux, UNESCO World Heritage Site since 2007. Following day will be in Aigle, which is home to the UCI. Well, this stage, though, will share the same picture postcard background of Lake Geneva with the first day. Following the punchers on the first day, it will be more likely a chance for the sprinters on day 2. Admittedly, there'll be 5 climbs on the programme, but they'll be quite far from the finish, more than 40 k's from the finish line, which will be on the Quai du Mont Blanc in Geneva. Well, Geneva, which welcomed the peloton for the very first time in 1913. This time, the famous water jet fountain had already been in place for 22 years. It was built in 1891. The water projected 140 metres up in the air. On the morning of the 3rd day, we'll still be in Geneva, but the 3rd stage will see the Tour enter its homeland of France. We'll cross the border into France, 5k's into the stage, after which the Côte de la Faucille at its 11.4 kilometres at 6.3%. They will follow straight away. They'll be going through the Ain and the Jura, alternating between wide and narrow roads. Lots of changes of direction until the final straight, measuring almost 2 kilometres in length in Poligny. The men's race was there in 2023. Poligny had its Saint-Hippolyte Collegiate Church, built in the 15th century at the beginning of the flamboyant Gothic period. For the beginning of the 4th stage, you'll find yourself in an ocean of vines. Gevrey-Chambertin. It'll be a really important date for the favourites in the form of an individual time trial. It's a time trial that had to be 21 kilometres long, as a nod to the number of the Côte d'Or department. The riders will have to climb the Marsanais switchbacks halfway through. That's 1.8 kilometre slope of 6.9%. After that, the finale will be very quick on the way to Dijon, where the finishing line will be located on Général de Gaulle Street. In front, of course, guess what, of the number 21. You can see the Palace of the Dukes and States of Burgundy, which today houses the Dijon City Hall. Stands next to the city's Fine Arts Museum. The following day, Wednesday, 5th of July, stage will start in Mâcon, and the race will enter the Saône and Loire département. It'll be a stage with many potential pitfalls. Col de Gervais at the midway point, a little further on the Col de Durbis. Montbrully, the last climb, that'll be tackled 12k's from the finish line in Belleville in the Rhône, and Montbrully 3 kilometres at 7.7%. Plenty of elevation gain. If memory serves me right, a young and pretty brilliant French rider, Mr. Alaphilippe, won an individual time trial at Montbrully. It was in 2017 in Paris-Nice. Well, at the start of the 6th stage, we'll be in Montbrison in the Loire département. Once again, it will be a very undulating stage. 6 listed climbs and an elevation gain of 2,650 metres, just a little less than the day before. The toughest climb will take place after 100 kilometres racing on the Col de la Voulvesque.
Il y aura encore une dernière bosse à moins de 20
There'll be one last rise in elevation, less than 20 k's from the finish. The riders will then speed down towards Tournon-sur-Rhône in the Ardèche département.
L'Ardèche où viennent de se dérouler.
And the Ardèche very recently hosted this year's magnificent European Championships. Will remain there the following morning for the start of the 7th stage.
Nous serons à la Vuelta-sur-Rhône, toujours
We
en
will,
Ardèche,
and we'll be in the Ardèche still, the Vuelta-sur-Rhône town. After just a few k's though, the riders will take on the Col de la Grande Limite. Through this stage, you could hardly be described as flat in the first part, and the finale will be formidable though.
Non. Tous les regards seront braqués vers lui, son approche sera obsédante. C'est le Ventoux que devront vaincre les championnes
of course, it's all about the Ventoux that has to be tamed on that day. The most emblematic, legendary and iconic sight, perhaps, in the Tour de France. Elevation gain for the day, 3,565 metres. And you too have the opportunity to cross swords with the slopes of this legendary climb and come to face with the giant of Provence, because Mont Ventoux will be on the programme for the Étape de Tour Femmes. That's the 6th of August, the day before the women's elite race gets to grips with it.
C'est dans le cadre enchanteur de Sisteron, dans les Alpes de Haute-Provence,
It's in the Alpes de Haute-Provence department, in the charming setting of Sisteron, with the spectacular Rocher de la Baume peak and the citadel, the image and the symbol of the town, the most powerful fortress in the kingdom, according to the French King Henri IV, that the riders will take the starters' orders for the penultimate stage.
Ce sera la plus longue étape
It will be the longest stage on the forthcoming edition of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, totaling 175 kilometres. We'll take the Neapolitanic route and we'll admire the beautiful landscapes of the Durance and the Verdun valleys. We'll follow the river Var and then head south to Nice. Look out for the surprise that I put together for you, the Camin de l'Arietta. A wall-like ascent, a gradient of more than 13%, 6 k's from the finishing line. A bunch sprint on the Promenade des Anglais is by no means a sure thing. And then it's in Place Masséna where the men's tour finished last year to start the final stage. A loop around the City of the Angels. 4 times up the 7.7-kilometre Col d'Ez, and it's 5.9% gradient. The first 3 laps will be strictly identical, but the last one will be tougher. It'll include the Chemin de Vinaigrier added to the 2022 route of Paris-Nice.
Ajouté en 2022 sur le parcours de Paris-Nice. Le chemin du Vinaigrier, dont les pentes les plus raides s'élèvent à 16%, et qui mène lui aussi au Col d'Ez, en plus court et en plus
it leads to the Col d'Ez, but it's a shorter and steeper route. All that remain will be a descent to Nice, towards the port, to cross the finishing line on the Promenade des Anglais. There'll be just over 2,000 metres of climbing in less than 100 kilometres to finish this 9-day race. The biggest riders in women's cycling have already gone head-to-head on the French Riviera, particularly in 2020 for the Course by Le Tour, that heralded a return of the Tour de France Femmes, with Lizzie Deignan beating Marianne Vos by a whisker in the last few metres. Nice has plenty of history, with the historical version of the men's tour, from the first stage in 1906 through 2 Grand Départs in 1981 and 2020, the latter in that crazy circumstances of the pandemic. The race finished there last year. Nice is a real capital of cycling.
Mise de lumière, mise de passion, mise de champion. Ici, chaque virage, chaque montée, chaque souffle d'air marin raconte une histoire de vélo. Vous l'avez prouvé. Au cœur de l'été, notre ville a vibré au rythme du Tour. Dans vos regards, dans vos cris, dans vos sourires, on a senti l'enthousiasme éclatant d'un peuple uni derrière les coureurs. les Niçois, les visiteurs, toutes les générations rassemblées au bord des routes dans une même ferveur.
Naturellement, l'arrivée du Tour de France masculin l'année dernière, après 110 ans à Paris,
Oh, naturally, after that wonderful arrival last year, the Tour de France for men, says Christian Estrosi, the mayor, Tadej Pogacar winning, we had to go and host the race again.
Inscrit pour Nice dans l'histoire du cyclisme français.
There will be a place for Nice in the history of cycling.
Un sport, il est une respiration. Il est ce lien qui chaque année nous unit à Paris-Nice. Cette course mythique qui ouvre la saison. Il est ce défi partagé qui permet à chacun de rouler sur les routes des plus grands. Depuis toujours, le Tour de France a trouvé à Nice un écrin incomparable.
C'est une histoire qui nous lie au cyclisme depuis très longtemps.
Départ,
it's a story that links us to cycling for a long, long time.
La grande histoire de la grande boucle.
The history of cycling in Nice.
Sans doute des routes entre la mer et la montagne. Des cols mythiques, je pense au Turini,
roads between the sea and the mountains.
Et combien de champions ont
special.
choisi de s'installer ici, séduits par la beauté de nos routes et la force de nos reliefs. Mais aujourd'hui, c'est une nouvelle page qui s'écrit, celle du cyclisme féminin.
Naturellement, le cyclisme féminin est en train de trouver une place extraordinaire grâce au Tour de France.
Naturally, women's cycling is about to and is actually finding a brilliant place on the calendar now. And it's time we were here too.
Aussi une terre de l'avenir, un avenir au féminin porté par le souffle du Tour.
Nice entre mer et montagne.
Nice between the sea and the mountains in summer and winter. From Lausanne to Nice, the next route of the Women's Tour de France will link the Olympic capital to the host city for winter sports, the 26th Winter Olympic Games and then the Paralympic Games. French Alps will host, further to which I'd like to take the opportunity to say a quick hello to the organising committee's president, Edgar Gros-Piron.
Quelques chiffres à retenir, Marion.
I believe there's a few figures that we should think of, Marion. Yes, the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift will take place in two countries, first in Switzerland, then France. It'll pass through 12 départements and 3 regions. It'll be made up of 9 stages, a total elevation gain of 18,795 metres, which is a record for the event. The distance will be 1,175 kilometres, 3 flat stages, 3 hilly stages, 2 mountain stages, at a time trial. And now, Marion, what about the distinctive jerseys? The yellow jersey donned by Pauline Ferrand-Prévot last summer at the finish in Châtel in Haute-Savoie, sponsored by LCL. The green jersey for the points classification, sponsored by Skoda. That was worn by Lorena Wiebes. The polka dot jersey for the best climber, sponsored by Leclerc. That was worn by Elise Chabet. Plenty of breaks during the week. And the white jersey for the best young riders, sponsored by Liv, was worn by Nienke Vinke. As for stage victories, they're sponsored by Zwift. The team classification by Chris, that was won by FDJ Suez last summer. And lastly, Tessier sponsors the most combative rider place. Maëva Skibon was named the super combative rider in the last year too. Thanks to all of our public and private partners. They too deserve your applause.
Merci à vous, merci à toi aussi Marion.
Thank you.
Un premier tracé, un peu de patience.
Now you've discovered the first of the routes. A little patience is now required before the second one. Let's think back to last July. Lille, 184 riders were readying themselves to take the starters' orders for the 112th edition of the Tour.
31 between Pogacar and Vingegaard.
Le combat des chefs commence aujourd'hui.
When you see Poggi and Jonas, Remco, I mean, there's like a big gap to everyone else.
A lot of pain. It's really hurts to try and follow Pogacar, but I don't feel any pressure because I know Pogacar and Vingegaard's not really the guys I'm racing against.
Today, You are the big favorite. Do you see any aspects where Jonas Vingegaard is better than you right now?
Yeah, I hope I can live up to the expectations.
Pogacar goes.
Et Pogacar s'envole.
100 career wins.
Un gouffre entre Pogacar et les autres.
You never know, with the new guys coming in as well, somebody can surprise.
Attention pour le départ réel de la première étape de la 112e édition du Tour de France.
We have these big possibilities to wear the yellow jersey.
Le peloton se scinde avant, le peloton se scinde. Sur la tête bien, Remco Evenepoel, non, c'est the front group.
It's just stupid time loss, but we cannot change it. But yeah, it's always a bit shit to start like this.
Jasper Philipsen est lancé pour aller chercher le premier maillot jaune. Il en rêvait, Philipsen, c'est fait.
To have the yellow jersey hanging somewhere in my house, it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be all out between Van der Poel and Pogacar. Van der Poel!
It was a really long time since I've won a stage on the tour, but I guess it was worth the wait.
Non, voilà la chute, malheureusement, c'est Philipsen qui est parti à terre.
The Philipsen had to abandon, I guess he has a broken collarbone or something. Remco Evenepoel a été pris dans la chute.
Now the European champion launches fast. Is it Tim Merlier? Wow!
It's Tim? It is. Is it vrai? Yes. It's true?
Yes. C'est parti pour Tadej Pogacar.
On peut pas y aller, Van der Poel.
Il s'accroche au Vingegaard, il est énorme.
100th victory in your career and you do it on the Tour de France. What a symbol.
Yeah, I'm just without words. It was such a nice victory.
Tadej Pogacar battu aujourd'hui par Remco Evenepoel, mais qui va prendre le maillot jaune pour la première fois de ce Tour de France 2025.
What can you say about the gap now?
That it's yeah, about a minute.
It's okay to lose, but it's not okay to fail.
Ben Healy's decided time to try and win the stage alone.
Losing is something we're going to have to do over and over again as we try to win a stage.
C'est fait, c'est gagné pour l'Irlandais qui remporte la 6e étape du Tour de France.
Failing is not doing what you want to do the way you want to do it.
Mathieu Van Der Poel qui reprend le maillot jaune pour une seconde à Tadej Pogacar.
Oh là là,
malheureusement ça tombe. Aïe 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 aïe.
Jameda est pris dans la chute, Ben Healy.
Ouais, ça fait mal.
Here he goes now. Pogacar starts.
Jonas Vingegaard, est-ce qu'il va pouvoir remonter à hauteur du Slovène? Tadej Pogacar, vainqueur à Mur de Bretagne.
Président pour Merlier, les champions d'Europe.
Jonathan Milan firing to try and win his first ever stage of the Tour de France.
Do you have your Tour de France stage victory?
I think I didn't still understood what we did.
Jonas, what was the plan today?
10 minutes 30 d'avance pour le duo Ricard-Van Der Poel.
My dream is to be on the Tour podium. I made a small joke of it yesterday, and Mathieu seems to be serious to go with 2.
son rêve d'aller sur le podium du Tour de France une journée quand même.
Ricard, pris ceinture U21 de la combativité.
Et moi je voulais aider.
Is Jonathan Milan going to take it? Tim Merlier wins an incredible stage.
C'était une belle journée à deux.
Benelli va maintenant pour le maillot jaune, pour la quête du maillot jaune. Victoire de Simon Yates qui va s'imposer devant Timo Arensman. Quelle finale!
It's a fairy tale, you know. Say to win in yellow jersey, it's just incredible and beyond belief, really.
They're a team who always ride with an attacking frame of mind, aren't they? They refuse to believe in just riding and following. This is everything to this squad.
Tadej Pogacar, le champion du monde.
I repeat, we do not pull. After the crash of somebody, we do not pull.
You don't know how the body reacts after the crash.
Le maillot jaune Ben Healy, distancé.
Remco Evenepoel is hanging on for dear life.
Vingegaard qui ne peut pas y aller, qui n'est déjà plus dans la roue de Tadej Pogacar. Et il reste 12 km d'ascension. Oh, ça va faire mal.
2 minutes de retard pour Vingegaard à 1 km du but.
A tornado has struck on Autocam. The defending champion destroys his rivals. Vingegaard sprints for the finish line, smashes the time, 23 minutes 36.
36 secondes d'avance.
On aura 4,07 au classement général.
Un gouffre entre Pogacar et les autres. C'était le cas hier avec Takam. C'est le cas aujourd'hui ici à Peyragut.
I was feeling pretty good in the morning, ready to give it a go, and I was really close to giving up at some point.
Are you worried about tomorrow?
I just hope be better tomorrow. That's the only thing I can hope.
It is a debut stage win for an amazing Arensman.
To win a stage in my first tour on this way, you know, it's crazy.
Victoire de Tim Wellens à Carcassonne et c'est la 5e victoire pour l'équipe UAE sur ce Tour de France.
Le maillot jaune au sommet du Mont Ventoux, on ne pouvait pas rêver mieux.
Il y a un démarrage là en tête de la course, il s'agit d'un démarrage de Thévenet qui est revenu comme une fusée.
Très nette victoire de Jean-François Bernard. Magnifique vainqueur.
This is now Porter's gone, Froome has attacked and Contador's got to hold on. Well, this I have never ever seen before.
Mais quelle image du tour! On n'a jamais vu ça!
Et c'est parti pour Ben Healy.
Les ballons qui sont dans la route irlandaise, c'est trop dur pour Henrik Mas.
Accélération de Vingegaard. Pogacar reste dans la route de son rival.
Healy hits him on the left-hand side. Parry Pond has an answer to that attack.
Accélération de Vingegaard cette fois-ci. Réaction immédiate de Pogacar.
Allez, il faut s'arracher ici. Allez, dernier virage, c'est maintenant qu'il faut produire l'effort. Benelli toujours en tête.
Oh, quelle belle! Magnifique! Tour de France!
Merci beaucoup. C'est incroyable. Merci.
Un gros pénitencier où figure le maillot vert, Jonathan Milan.
I didn't survive alone. I survived always with the help of my teammates. I really have to thank them with the bottom of my heart. Super happy for all of us. I couldn't be proud. Couldn't be more proud of myself.
Ben O'Connor, vainqueur sur le toit du Tour, au col de la Lose.
It's the biggest race in the world, but it's for sure the cruelest.
Le 4e du classement général, encore only en difficulté.
Lipovic knows that this is the moment to put yourself on the podium in Paris.
Victoire de Simon Arensman.
It's just crazy and yeah, I don't know.
This rider is now a stage winner in all 3 Grand Tours. Solo win, Caden Grove, stage 20.
Sur le franc à présent à droite, en direction du circuit de Montmartre.
Look at this for a reception of the riders as they reach the end of 21 stages.
C'est exceptionnel, exceptionnel Wout van Aert. C'est l'heure de la revanche aujourd'hui pour Wout van Aert. Immense champion qui va remporter la 10e victoire de sa carrière sur le Tour de France.
What a reminder that is. Anthony McCrossan and Alexandre Pasteur providing the commentary there.
C'était le Tour 2025. Vive le Tour 2026.
That was the 2025 Tour. Vive the 2026 Tour. This is the poster for the 113th edition of the Tour de France, which we're discovering actually at the same time of you. It's the work of SMLXL, a studio based in Barcelona and New York. The illustrator is Alberto Tercero. As you can see, the shadows of the riders outline iconic landmarks around the route. Sagrada Familia, Arc de Triomphe, and the Eiffel Tower. So, Barcelona, just 3 years after Bilbao, the Tour once again hitting the road in Spain, first the Basque Country, and now Catalonia. Barcelona, the great writer Eduardo Mendoza dubbed it one of his novels, the City of Marvels. It's the city of Gaudí, the 1992 Olympics and world-class sports, and of course the Tour. It's already hosted it 3 times, but never for a Grand Départ.
Bienvenue en Catalogne, terre d'ingéniosité. Là où le ciel, la mer et la montagne se rejoignent. Là où germent les idées et vivent les gens actifs, créatifs, libres, innovants, en forme et compétitifs, artistes, avant-gardistes, sportifs, pionniers. Gens discrets qui voient les choses en grand et qui, quand ils agissent, aiment faire les choses bien. Parce qu'ici, nous avons le sens du détail. Parce que nous sommes joyeux. Parce que nous sommes culture, gastronomie et hospitalité. Nous sommes la capitale de la Méditerranée. Une terre ouverte sur le monde où chacun a sa place. Une ville d'arrivée qui vous ressemble. Parce qu'elle vous donne immédiatement l'impression d'être chez vous. Parce qu'en matière d'environnement durable, nous voulons embarquer les habitants dans l'univers du vélo. Parce que nous voulons la première place dans la promotion de son utilisation. Parce qu'en matière d'offres de pistes cyclables, de voies vertes et de systèmes de vélo en libre service, la Catalogne et Barcelone visent le maillot jaune. C'est pourquoi nous sommes là. Parce que nous formons un bon tandem. Sans conteste, le meilleur. Barcelone et le Tour de France. Un bon tandem.
Je ne sais pas si vous êtes comme moi, mais j'ai presque envie de monter à bord d'une machine à voyager dans le temps pour aller tout de suite à Barcelone le 4 juillet prochain. Le plaisir de saluer et d'accueillir donc ici au pupitre Jaume Collboni, maire de Barcelone.
Jaume Collboni is here.
Que représente le grand départ pour les habitants de votre belle ville?
Bonjour Paris, bonjour Tour de France.
Hello Paris.
C'est la culmination d'une belle histoire d'amour entre Barcelone et le Tour de France.
End of a beautiful love story.
C'est la quatrième fois que notre ville beat le Tour et vivre.
It's the fourth time that
the
Tour de France visits
le grand départ.
our city.
El Tour serà una gran celebració ciutadana per tots els barcelonins i barcelonines.
The tour will be a great celebration for everybody from Barcelona.
I les places
Now speaking in Catalan.
I posarem de nou la bici no només com un element d'esport, sinó també com un element
de transport. And of course we'll make sure that bike isn't just a sports thing, it will be used to get around and help the city.
De Catalogne, Monsieur le Ministre, bonjour. Vous avez
and now the Catalan Minister of Sports here as well,
Mr. Alvarez. Événements sportifs d'envergure internationale, le Tour de France.
And it's great to have international sports events back in your region.
C'est un exemple très clair.
Bonjour à tous.
This is a great example of that.
Nous sommes très heureux d'être ici aujourd'hui. C'est un
We
journée
are very, very happy to be here.
La Catalogne
It's very, very special for us.
Son leadership comme étant un territoire de référence dans l'organisation d'événements sportifs de haut niveau.
A really important big territory in terms of organising world sports events is Catalonia.
La sportive les plus suivies au monde et la course cycliste les plus prestigieuse de la
planète. Of course, the Tour de France is the biggest annual sports event, the biggest bike race in the world.
Donc, événements national et de nombreuses villes catalanes pourront pleinement profiter.
And of course, this is a national Catalan event for us, hosting this grand départ.
Comme une référence internationale et mondiale dans les domaines du sport.
And we want to make sure we're still up there as a reference point for world sports organisation. We want the best tour possible now, again switching to Catalan. Barcelona, Granollers, Tarragona, all hosting the race. And of course, the start of the tour in 2026 is going to be wonderful. Thank you to all of you for having us.
Le mot de la fin avec Monsieur le maire de Barcelone. Comment est-ce que la ville se prépare? Racontez-nous pour accueillir ce grand départ.
How does the city get ready, Mr. Mayor?
Est une ville absolument prête à organiser.
Barcelona is a city that's already ready. It's ready for all big events.
La première ville au monde à accueillir les Jeux olympiques.
First city in the world to have the Olympic Games, the America's Cup, and of course the start of the Tour de France. We're unique. And we want to make sure that the Tour and the city shine. We'll have the best route. We wanted to have the start of the Tour for a long, long time. It's going to be a spectacular start. We're going to show off the architecture of Barcelona, the Sagrada Familia. Of course, Catalan modernism will be on show.
de l'arquitectura de l'any 2026 i la sortida
and of course in 2026 we're also going to be the World Architecture Capital. So we're going to show that off as well.
Del Grande Parc del Tour.
And we want to write a nice page in the history of the Grand Départ.
Història, una pàgina de la història de la nostra ciutat. Moltes gràcies.
And of course a new page in the history of our city as well. Vive le Tour and vive Barcelona. So as the politicians spiel out the way, it's probably time to get a glimpse of the route now, isn't it? It's what you've all been waiting for. We've had one route going. Let's see if we can see what's on the menu for the next.
Il est 12h22, c'est l'heure. Voici maintenant le parcours de la 113e édition du Tour de France.
Starting then in Spain, in Catalonia, with a team time trial returning and around the streets of the Catalan capital, Barcelona. It'll begin down by the port and head in and around the streets. And the race couldn't come to Barcelona without going up the mighty Montjuic climb. Memories of those 1992 Olympic Games, and it finished this time at the top there. Down the coast of Tarragona for the start of stage 2, but a return to the regional capital. Laps of Montjuic this time, remind you very much of the Volta Ciclista Catalunya. Granollers hosting start stage 3, a stage that goes over the Pyrenees and into France after going through the region of Girona. Carcassonne, but no rest day in the southwest of France and straight in and around the Pyrenees. That stage will finish in Foix. Race been there several times in the last decade. Pau hosts the next stage. Before Pyrenees proper, but you always get the sense here that the anticipation builds rather than explodes into early high mountain stages. Yes, Tourmalet will be taken on. Then the race goes to Bordeaux, leaving the Pyrenees and heading to Périgueux. Bergerac will see the stage finish. And the race all this time going along towards the Massif Central. That's after a visit to Ussel. Having started in Aurillac, it'll be Massif Central proper and another visit to Le Lioran. Remember that 2-up sprint, Pogacar, Vingegaard. Vichy to Nevers is the start of the next stage. Back to the racing circuit. Saw that at Paris-Nice this year with a team time trial. That hosts the start of a route to Chalon-sur-Saône. Dole hosting the next start. And the race going north to Belfort. A start down the road in Mulhouse next. And the Vosges, always interesting terrain. Le Marstein, just as we had a couple of years ago when Thibaut Pinot said goodbye. Champagnol. And to the Plateau de Solaizan, Dauphiné memories. Time trial time after that, the only individual time trial on this year's race, starting in Evian and finishing in Thonon, the other side of Lake Geneva, Lac Le Mans. World Championship memories in Chambéry. That's the stage start. And still the anticipation's been building. It continues to build as they go to Voiron. And the big, highest of high mountains only really come at the very end of this Tour de France. They come not once, but after Orsières-Merlet, twice in a couple of days. You've all heard the rumours, and here's the confirmation. Starting in Gap, over valleys, heading up the mighty hairpins to Alpe d'Huez. Then they start down the bottom, go round the back, and for the second day running, we'll finish in Alpe d'Huez, but going over the back way. Remember the Dauphiné stage, Pic Kenya winning there. And a long way to Paris for the grand finale. But no big return to the pure sprinter stage. Yes, once again, memories of the Olympic Games and going up Montmartre, but with a change and a twist. This time the final climb will be around 15 k's from the finish. An entry further up the Champs-Élysées this time, another lap. And maybe a little carrot dangled in front of those sprinters. That is the 2026 Tour de France.
Les coureurs et leurs équipes arriveront en Catalogne.
So the riders and their teams will land in Catalonia on Wednesday, the 1st of July, coinciding with the official opening of the press centre and race HQ. The next day, the 2nd, the team presentation will take place in front of the most iconic landmark in Barcelona, the Sagrada Familia. Its tallest tower will have been officially inaugurated 3 weeks earlier on the 10th of June, 100 years to the day after the death of the Catalan architectural genius Antoni Gaudí. A team time trial will get the ball rolling on Saturday the 4th of July. The last time that the Grand Boucle got underway with a team time trial was 1971. A 19-kilometre course leading all the way up to Montjuic will sort out the contenders from the pretenders, not least because individual times will be taken into account, just like we've seen in Paris-Nice. Tarragona, or Tarragon in French, will host the start of stage 2. Tarragona is a city steeped in 2 millennia of history. Roman vestiges that earned it a spot on the World Heritage List. The first part of the parcours hugged the coastline, going over the Coll de Béguès, back towards Barcelona. The movers and shakers of the race will gain lock horns on Montjuic. 3 ascents of the 1.6-kilometre climb, more than 9% gradient leading up to the Olympic Stadium. Let me remind you, the last 3 men here have won here in Catalonia. Evenepoel, Pogacar, Roglic. On the morning of the 3rd day, we'll set out from Granollers, not far from Barcelona. And all fans will recognise the name. The local team have won the European Championship twice. The first part of the stage will be on wide roads. The air will start to get thinner on the Coll de Tosses, with the slopes ranging between 9 and 10% in the last 3 kilometres. We'll cross the French border with 40 kilometres to go and set off for Les Angles, I should say, a ski resort in the Pyrenees Occidental. Never really featured in the Tour before. The final climb might be short, but the total elevation of that stage will be almost 4,000 metres. The Tour and Carcassonne go 80 years back. We'll revisit the awe-inspiring citadel, guarded by 52 towers, 3 kilometres of ramparts. The city has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site now for almost 30 years. It'll host the start of stage 4. The opening kilometres will take us through the Aude department. There'll be 5 categorised climbs, including 2 major ones. First, more than 10 kilometres at 5.5% to crown the Col de Coudon. After that, on steeper slopes, especially near the summit, the Col de Montségur, very famous Qatar castle close, will have reached Ariège. From there, it's 30-odd kilometres to Foix. The elevation gain for that stage will be almost 3,000 metres. Foix and its castle, a medieval jewel rising defiantly above a rocky overhang, embody 1,000 years of history. It's one of the best preserved castles in the whole of the Occitan region.
Le lendemain, nous serons dans les Hautes-Pyrénées.
The next day, the race takes us to the Hautes-Pyrénées, the High Pyrenees. The Tour will set up its village in Lannemezan, hometown of the French national rugby team captain Antoine Dupont. The sprinters will get their first day in the sun then. Back in 2023, the start of a Tour de France Femmes stage was here, and it finished on the Tourmalet. A different scenario waits here on the 8th of July. The sprinters will be able to let their raw speed do the talking in Pau, the administrative capital of the Atlantic Pyrenees department. The 77th time that the sprint will finish there. Pau's Place de Verdun has become a premier destination for the sprinters. German champion Kittel. The next year was Demar. Of course, he finished a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? He beat Christophe Laporte back then in 2018. In 2024, Jasper Philipsen and Wout van Aert repeated the exploit for Belgium. That was won by Philipsen. And nowadays, Pau is a hunting ground for sprinters, but also it heralds the coming of the Pyrenees. The road will then bend towards the sky on stage 6. 2 classic ascents, the mountain passes seen most often on the roads of the Tour, which Lenny Martinez crested in first place last summer. We've got first up the Col d'Espana, and then the giant of the Pyrenees, the Tourmalet. The brand new finish, though, will take place at the top of a 20-kilometre rolling climb in Gavarnie-Gèdre. Elevation gain for the stage, 4,150 metres. Well, the real gem here is the neighbouring Cirque, settled right in the heart of the national park in the Pyrenees. The Cirque de Gavarnie stands out for the monumental size of its limestone rim. Its summit's peaking at 3,000 metres, and that gigantic waterfall you can see there in the picture.
Le Tour avait traversé Ajetmo il y a quelques années, mais la petite commune
the Tour
des Landes
had already come through Ajetmo a few years ago. This town in the Landes department will be hosting a stage for the first time though. Stage 7 will have green jersey contenders ready to go. The fastest men in the peloton will be determined to shine in a city that's often smiled upon the most talented specialists, Bordeaux. An epic showdown between top sprinters is all but guaranteed on the quays of the Garonne River. Bordeaux will be hosting the Tour for the 82nd time, second only to Paris. Nobody's welcomed the Tour more often than the capital, Bordeaux. And then Pau. Come the 11th of July, stage 8 from Périgord to Bergerac will take place entirely on the roads of the Dordogne. Sprinters will have the advantage for the second day in a row, and they'll be unlikely to squander it. The 182-kilometre trek through Périgord will shine a light on the dells and medieval fortified towns that fill Dordogne with charm. It's almost a carbon copy of the 2017 stage that France Télévisions viewers singled out for its beauty.
Inédites sur le parcours du Tour en ce 12 juillet.
2 new towns are poised to make their Tour debut on the 12th of July. Malmort and Ussel to start and the finish respectively. It's a stage drawn entirely within the borders of the Corrèze, in which the breakaway specialists will surely come out to play. The first half of the stage will take place on more undulating terrain, with the daunting Suc-au-Mé as the highlight. The Tour discovered it in 2020 when Swiss rider Marc Hirschi used it as a springboard to drop his fellow escapees.
Et là, l'effort est maximal. Elle est terrible, cette côte.
On a l'impression d'être dans un final d'Ardennaise.
Ouais, dans le mur de 8 un peu, c'est ça, exactement.
After the Sukhumets, the peloton will continue to climb all the way up to Montbessou, the ceiling of the Corrèze department. From there, it's 24 kilometers of up and down roads to Ussel. That's tucked away in the heart of the last hills of the Plateau de Mille Vaches. 3,300 meters to be climbed there. The first rest day awaits the riders in the shadow of the Puy-Marie, the pyramid of the Cantal department. And the next morning, 14th of July, national holiday, they'll roll out the administrative centre of the department of Aurillac, and it will be the southern direction towards Marcollès, which is proud in its cycling criterium history. There's 7 categorised climbs, including the one that leads to the quaint village of Ballerolles. The riders will then take the Brezan Valley, and they'll rise again to the Col de la Griffoule. Climbs will come thick and fast. Pratbou, Murat, Pas de Pérol, and the formidable Pertus. It'll finish at Le Lioran, 3,900 metres of climbing. Remember the clash of the Titans in 2024, finishing at the same place. Pogacar soared on the slopes of Puy-Marie, but he was caught by Vingegaard on the Pertus before the sparks flew in a sprint duel between the 2 most talented Grand Tour riders in the world. And it was the Dane who was victorious. The Tour
hadn't been to Vichy since 1952, although it has come and gone from the Allier department in the last 2 decades. Sprinters will spring back into action on stage 11. It'll also bring us to the Nièvre department. That's not received the attention it deserves from the Tour, as well as Nevers, the city of the Dukes. Our most recent visit to Nevers, famous, was back in 2003.
Well,
the circuit at Magny-Cours set the scene for the Formula One French Grand Prix from 1991 to 2008. Alain Prost, a cycling fan, uncorked the champagne here, as did Michael Schumacher 8 times. It's now open to cycling races too. Paris-Nice last spring, and now the Tour de France for a stage in which raw speed will be the name of the game. Indeed, the field's likely to set a blistering pace, especially in the run-up to the finish in the Saône and Loire department, a bunch sprint virtually guaranteed at Chalon-sur-Saône. Nicéphore Niepce invented photography in Chalon. It'll come in handy if the finish is too close to call. Then again, Brian Robinson, the first Tour stage winner from the other side of the Channel, bagged a solo victory in 1959. And you know that the British never squander their money or efforts, said the report on the day.
It's
the run into the finish that will provide the backdrop for Mesnin-Quirogi-Cardiac, l'étape de cours initiative. The charity will be marking their 30th anniversary next year. 438 children will have been saved since the beginning of our partnership in 2003.
Now,
the city of Louis Pasteur, Dole, will welcome us for the 3rd time in 10 years. It'll be the longest stage of this tour, and the only one that goes above 200 kilometers. We'll make our way through the Jura, Doubs, Haute-Saône and Vosges departements, and the Territoire de Belfort in quick succession. One of these most strategic locations on the course will be the Ballon d'Alsace, which became the first mountain on the route of the Tour in 1905. It could well tip the scales in the fight for victory in Belfort. There's been no shortage of stopovers in Belfort, but this will be the first stage finish here since 1978. It's a place that's proud of its citadel, where the French voted as their favourite monument in 2020. The famous Lion of Belfort, a red sandstone colossus created by Auguste Bartholdi, the sculptor behind Liberty Enlightening the World, better known as the Statue of Liberty. On Saturday, the 18th of July, everybody will wake up in Mulhouse, one of the few cities in France to have hosted the Grand Départ twice. The favourites will then step up to the fore. We'll tackle the Grand Ballon, highest climb of the day, straight off the bat. First, we'll go on a loop, and then cross the finish line for the first time before the Col du Page. After that, the riders will go up Ballon d'Alsace for a second time in as many days. They'll discover a new gem, never used before, Agde, which peaks 6 kilometers from the finish at Le Markstein. 3,800 meters of climbing. Le Agde is a forest track converted to a bike lane. 11.2 kilometers of an ascent at an average gradient of 7.3%, but its slopes are far from consistent. The steepest point of the route you can see hits 15%.
Lors de l'étape du Markstein en 2023, Tadej Pogačar avait fait
In 2023, Pogačar's collapse on the Col de la Loze may have taken him out of the fight, but it didn't take the fight out of him. He proved that with a sensational victory over Vingegaard at Le Markstein 3 days later. We also saw Thibaut Pinot going his last breakaway on his own famous virage, his own turn. And what an atmosphere it was.
Le lendemain, 19 juillet,
this time, the day after that race, instead of going on to the finish of the Tour, we'll go to Champagnole. It hosted a Tour stage finish a few years ago, and now it will be a start. We'll cross the Jura and the Ain. The road will bend sharply towards the sky as we soon reach Haute-Savoie. The Tour returned to a climb last seen in 1992, and it'll tackle it from the toughest side, the Col de la Croisette. I'm speaking of Montsalèvre. From this side, Montsalèvre has a stretch of almost 5 kilometers of 11% and a bit more. The brutality of the slopes is only matched by the beauty of the landscapes.
Et le Mont Blanc en prime.
And with Mont Blanc there in the background as a nice bonus. Stage 15 will tighten the screws on the riders with an eye-watering finale leading to the Plateau de Solaizon. It'll be appearing in the Tour for the first time, but it's already featured twice in the Dauphiné, now of course known as the Tour Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes.
Les chiffres parlent d'eux-mêmes, 11 km 300 à 9,1%.
The Solaizon, well, the figures speak for themselves, 11.3 kilometers at 9.1%.
Peut-être l'occasion d'une sieste réparatrice, et pourquoi pas.
The peloton will take a very second, well-deserved rest day.
Direction les Caraïbes. Ah non, c'est de la Clément.
C'est dans ce cadre idyllique que se disputera le second contre-la-montre du
Tour,
un
picture postcard scenery.
individuel cette fois. Il s'élancera
The backdrop for the second time trial of the Tour will be set. This time it will be an individual race against the clock. He'll start from Evian, which hosted the first ever Grand Départ outside of the Parisian region a century ago in 1926. The time trial can be divided into 3 parts, really. A long drag at almost 4.5% on the Côte de la Ringe. Then a descent, and finally a few kilometers on flat terrain in the run-up to Thonon-les-Bains. 26 kilometers in total. The city of the Dukes of Savoy, Chambéry, will delight us with breathtaking landscapes, Lac de Bourget on the opening kilometers of stage 17. It'll be a year to the day after the city rolled out the red carpet for the Tour de France Femmes avec Swift. The stage will take the scenic route through the Bauges and Chartreuse regional national parks. The beginning of the stage will provide a launch pad, I should say, for breakaways, but the final 30 kilometres will be as flat as possible, making it easier for the pack to reel them in. It'll be a real tug of war, but the sprinters will have the edge on the approach to Voiron. Voiron, capital of Chartreuse, twinned with Tarragona. It welcomed the Vuelta at the end of last August. We'll roll out of Voiron and head due south. At the beginning, we'll stay inside the Isère département with the Côte d'Angers, and then we'll take on the first categorized climb, skirting the turquoise waters of the Lac de Montéillard and the overhanging mountain. We'll then head towards the Hautes-Alpes for the summit finish at Orsières-Merlette, atop a 7.1-kilometre road at 6.7%. Orsières-Merlette brings back memories of the epic duel between Luis Ocaña and Eddy Merckx in 1971. More recently, in 2020, it set the scene for a clash in which the favourites stayed together well into the final mile, with Primož Roglič prevailing over Tadej Pogačar, then touted, of course, as a rough diamond. We all know what happened after that. We'll be in Gap with 48 hours to go. And we'll go from 0 to 100 in nothing. Whatever happens, the riders will need to be ready. Col Bayard coming shortly after the start, followed by the Col du Noyer. That's a climb on narrow roads, steep slopes, 7.2 k's at 8.5%. It'll be a short stage, but the riders will still have to crest the Col d'Ornon before zipping through Bourg-d'Oisans and sinking their teeth into the famous set of 21 numbered hairpin bends of Alpe d'Huez. The men will be returning to the ski resort in Isère after 4 years, but the champions of the Tour Femmes have put it to good use in the meantime. 3,500 metres of climbing for that stage over 128 k's. It'll be 40 years since one of those Tour de France moments that will stay with you forever. Bernard Hinault, Greg LeMond breaking away together, the former chasing the stage win and the latter the Tour.
Tous les deux en se tenant par l'épaule. J'y ai pensé tout à l'heure. Je me demande si ça va pas se terminer comme ça.
C'est extraordinaire quand même.
Ah, c'est magnifique. Oui, tous les deux. Et il est content, le père Bernard. Il est content. Ah non, ce sera premier Hinault, deuxième Léman. Il y a une longueur qui les sépare. Premier, Bernard Hinault de cette fabuleuse étape.
Jacques Anquetil and Robert Chapat providing the commentary then.
Bernard Hinault, vainqueur à l'Alpe d'Huez en 1986. À la veille de l'arrivée finale, nous nous élancerons donc de Bourg-d'Oisans.
On the eve of the finish in Paris, we'll take off from Bourg-d'Oisans at the foot of the Alpe d'Huez for a super-size mountain stage.
Jugez plutôt
Check it out. Quite fair as an appetizer, followed by the Maurienne Valley, Col du Télégraphe. And you know what's coming next? The ceiling of the Tour, the Galibier, peaking 2,462 metres. Col de Sarenne after that, which commands a breathtaking view of the Écrin Massif. And it'll be tackled from this side for the first time before heading back to Alpe d'Huez for seconds.
5,600 mètres.
Elevation gain for the penultimate stage of the Tour. Are you ready for this? 5,600 metres. The very same course from Bourg-d'Oisans to Alpe d'Huez has been chosen as the setting for l'Étape du Tour this week, the biggest cyclo-sportive event on earth. 16,000 strong field took the start last July. It's been a ringing success year after year, and now you're spoilt for choice with the Étape du Tour Femmes. It goes without saying that this one's open to women and men as well. L'Étape du Tour on the 19th of July and the Étape du Tour Femmes on the 6th of August. So stage 21, grand finale, and it will start in Thoiry in the Yvelines. The peloton will blast down the banks of the Seine, past the Eiffel Tower and onto the circuit. It'll cover the distance plus 3 short laps of the Champs-Élysées. Then there'll be time to go from Étoile to Montmartre. The riders will face L'Epic 3 times over the course of this wider loop, just like they did last summer. But one last lap of the Champs-Élysées will decide the winner of the final stage and the yellow jersey of the 2026 Tour. And thanks again to the police prefecture for giving us the green light to return to this route again. So let's indulge ourselves a bit. Let's relive the scenes of jubilation from Montmartre on the 27th of July this year.
Des images absolument exceptionnelles. Incroyable.
Look at how many people are up here.
Regardez la foule, c'est incroyable. Incroyable.
Wow, it's incredible.
Ça, c'est formidable. Ah, ils pourront dire, les coureurs, on a vécu ça. On a vécu ça une fois dans notre vie. Enfin, une deuxième fois pour certains. Mais que c'est beau.
Un monde fou dans les rues, mais aussi 8 millions
massive crowds joined by 8.7 million viewers on France Télévisions for a combined total of more than 9 million only in France, together with Eurosport as well.
Il suffisait d'y penser. Meilleure performance d'audience.
Montmartre delivered the best peak audience as well. The pun's intended there, says Christian.
De Barcelone à Paris, le Tour 2026 traversera
and it was the best audience racing with young fans joining in droves. On this journey from Barcelona to Paris, the 2026 Tour will cross 2 countries, France and Spain. And once inside our borders, it will visit 29 départements in 7 different regions. The riders will go over 30 Category 2, 1 or hors category climbs. There'll be 5 summit finishes, including 3 in the last 4 days of racing. 3,333-kilometre route, 7 flat stages, 4 hilly stages and 8 mountain stages, as well as a team time trial and an individual one too. 10 towns or other locations will host a stage for the first time, and these are the distinctive jerseys. Yellow jersey, the emblem of the Tour de France, sponsored by LCL since 1987.
Le maillot vert, maillot du classement par points et l'apanage de Skoda depuis 2015. Jonathan Milan.
Since 2015, Skoda has been sponsoring the green jersey. Jonathan Milan won the last. The polka dot jersey marks the king of the mountains. Leclerc's brought it to every corner of the country since 2019. Tadej Pogacar also won in that classification. Chris has sponsored the best young riders' white jersey since 2015. Florian Lipovitz wore it on the podium in Paris. Continental will sponsor stage wins for the 8th year in a row. Basic Fit is the partner of the team classification. That went to Visma Lisa Bike last summer. The Haute-de-Seine département sponsors the Super Teammate Award.
Équipier est quant à lui parrainé par le département des Hauts-de-Seine, super équipier du Tour 2025, Quinn Simmons. Je salue tous nos partenaires, publics et privés, qu'ils soient fidèles.
I say hello to all of our partners and thank them, both public and private, for those who've just come on board, to those who go a long way back, sponsors, media, authorities and services. Give them all a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, before we call it a day, I'd like to share a few words and pictures. We've reached out to spectators of the Tour, the people of the Tour. We've asked them a very simple question. What does the yellow jersey mean to you? The yellow jersey, the best symbol, and the symbol of the best. Vive le Tour!
J'aime bien le maillot jaune, parce qu'il va vite.
C'est l'emblème de la France. Ah, c'est l'emblème de juillet, le maillot jaune.
Le maillot jaune, ça représente la combativité, le courage.
Disciplina, sufrimiento.
Joy, excitement.
Constancia, humildad.
C'est une expression, quand on est le maillot jaune, même au boulot, c'est qu'on est le meilleur. Voilà, être le maillot jaune, c'est être en tête.
É uma camisola que apetece para qualquer corredor de vestir.
Ça fait longtemps que je ne l'ai pas porté.
Time for happiness.
Congratulations.
Prácticamente todo lo que uno puede anhelar en el mundo significa la camisa amarilla para ver.